Welcome. In this video, we're going to go through record viewing and editing capability in Brobench. To be able to view the complete details of a particular record, its associated details like child records and additional tabs, and to be able to edit the record by editing any of the fields that you have access to is one of the core capability of Brobench. So there are multiple ways to be able to open a record in Brobench. So the first and foremost, the easiest one and the most used is that whenever you are in a particular record in Salesforce, you can just click on this pop-up icon. You can open the pop-up, and when you open the pop-up, it will show the details of the record that you have currently open in the UI. Okay. So there are multiple ways to open this pop-up, either by clicking or using the keyboard shortcuts. So look at the help to understand more about that. So when you click on this, so it will bring up the record and then shows all the details of that particular record. Okay, so that is one way to open the record. As you open the record, if you keep the dialog open, the pop-up open, and navigate to different records, and that record details will automatically opened and shown there. Okay, so basically it follows whichever the record that you have opened in the UI as and when you navigate to that. Okay. So you can also enter the IDs. For example, let's say I have this contact ID that you want to open. Okay. You can open from here. You can, when there are no tabs open or no records are open, this is how the layout will be. But you can enter the ID here, and then when you enter the ID, it will open a particular record. So by the way, here you can enter multiple IDs, okay, or you can enter any text that contains the various IDs. For example, let's copy this whole text and then enter over here. So it will parse all the IDs and then it will open them up automatically. So in this case, there were two IDs, one for the account and one for the user. It has opened them. So that's a second way to open the records. The next one is that we have this quick record lookup panel. So that is always shown, whether whichever the tab that you are in, it always shown. You can click on the record. You can enter record IDs or a text containing the record IDs, and then it will show the preview of the record. So it doesn't open in the record panel immediately, but it shows the preview. So if you want to open the details of that, you can click on that, and then it will open that particular record in a full record mode. Okay. Or you can also open from within a SOCL data grid. So let's say that I have queried some details. Let's say I have queried some accounts. Okay, so anywhere you see in the data grid, you see an ID. You can click on the ID. By default, it actually opens the preview, but you can click on it. If you hover it opens the preview, then you can click on it. It opens that particular record. Okay, so there are four different ways that you can open a particular record details in Brobench. Just to recap, you can, when you are in a particular record, let's say you are in this record, if you click on it, it will automatically open that particular record. Or you can enter the record ID in this records header. So there's a global header for all the records. Or you can enter them within the record quick lookup panel that you can access from here. Or you can also open the record from within the query results, or it will also work with the search results. Let's say you can execute a SOCL, and then the record that matched in the SOCL, you will be able to open them up. Okay, so once you open the records, right, then there's a lot of things you can do here. Okay, so first of all, there are two different menus. So let's make sure that we understand it right. So let's go ahead and close all the records. Then you realize, okay, so when there are no records are open, still there are some controls are shown. So because they are global to all the records, so they are called records global menu. So you can enter the record IDs, and then you have that brings up the history of the records. And this is the history from the server side. It shows the server recent records for that particular account, or additional options that you have to manage some aspects associated with the record. Okay, so when you open a particular record, then it shows the details of the record, and there are additional menu that's shown that are applicable for that particular record. Okay, so here you can favorite the record, and then you can refresh the record details. you can open that particular record in a UI, so it just opens an SFDC URL for that. Or if you click on it, we have various other changes that you can act upon for that particular record. So this menu that you see here, it is for all the records. It's not specific to individual record, but this particular menu that is shown next to a label is for the particular record. Okay, so you have view in UI, edit in UI, delete record, so on and so forth. So individual record, if you are essential and above, it opens in multiple tabs, so you can actually navigate to them. For example, from here you can click on it, and then you can navigate to the other record from here. So whenever that you navigate like that by clicking on various places here, for example, in the preview mode or the child records or from within this field details, so it opens the record, and it also actually keeps track of the navigation history. So how you open that particular record. So, and you can click on them, and then you can go back to that particular record where you were. So this can be useful, to keep track of how you open that particular record, and then it can help you navigate back to that particular record. Okay, so this is not a parent and child. It could be any record. You open a parent record or a child record. It's a navigation path, navigation history, if you will. Okay, so that's a breadcrumb that is shown only when you open a record by clicking on one of the places within a record. But if you open directly that particular record, the breadcrumb or a navigation history will not be shown. For example, if I open that Mary Jane directly, so because you open directly without from other records, so that history is not shown. But if you open that from within an account, then that will be shown. Okay, so you see that we were on the edge communication account record, and then we came back to this record. Okay, so going back to this UI record layout, so it contains 3 different parts. Okay, so first of all, 4 different parts. One is tabs. So if it is a free edition, you get only one tab that is open, but essential, it opens multiple tabs. So you have a tab strip here. And then if you have not enough space, you can click on this tab menu and you can open them up if you want. And then we have this the name, the record name. So here we have some controls, and then we have a record name that is shown. And note that in the record name, we also show additional details, something like if it is a case number, or if it is account number or a contract number, that's also included, okay, in the name, so that you get the better idea. And then we have this preview fields. So here we show some aspects, like for example, we show the object associated with this particular record, the ID of the record type, the owner created, and the audit details. Okay, so but you can enhance to show additional details. We'll come to that, how to manage it. So this is the second part, and here is a preview, is a third section, and then you have various tabs associated with this particular record. So there are 2 tabs that are always shown. One is the fields, that shows all the fields for that particular record that you have access to, and then the child records. Okay, so in the fields, so you have it shows all the fields for that particular record with the associated details. By default, we show the API name and the value, because those are the 2 most important things that you want to explore when you're looking at a record. But if you scroll right, you can also see additional details for that particular field, including the type, the field label, and then the access, your access for that particular field. Okay, so that's it uses the model CRUD. So create, read, update, and the delete. So for example, in this case, you can create, read, and update this particular field, but the billing address is read only. You can't edit that. Okay, so keep that in mind when you are editing that particular one. So the required field is also shown by the asterisk on the field. Okay, so that information, you don't have to scroll right to preview, for example. So when you are hover over a particular field, it also shows the details from other additional columns that includes the label, the text, and all that. Okay, so it shows that particular details so that you have all that information with you, so you don't have to scroll right to preview that. Okay, so as and when you look at the fields, so there could be a lot of fields for a particular record. For example, if it is a business critical object like account, contact, opportunity, lead, so on and so forth, you can have 100, 200 fields, and to be able to pinpoint exactly what you want to see. What is that you want to see? There are a few ways that they can control that. First of all, we have a search. You can just enter a few characters, whether the field name or the value or whatever. So it shows the record where it matches. You can enter multiple terms. For example, let's say number and then revenue. So it shows all the fields matches one of those, right? So look at the help in the common section, the common module, to understand how this particular the search term works. You can use this filter here to hide some of the fields. For example, you can hide system fields, like created by, modified by, so on and so forth. Or you can also hide null fields, so it shows only the fields where there is a value. You can also hide read-only fields. It shows only the editable values where there is a value. Or you can also hide Boolean false fields, right? So because the Boolean fields, remember, there's always a value, either true or false. But typically the false is considered as a default value. Sometimes you may not want to see that, so you can hide those as well. Okay. Or you can use the type. So the type shows all the different types of fields that you have. You can select a particular field and see that particular field details. Or you can use a field group to filter by a particular field set. Okay, so check out the documentation for the field group to understand more about how to use this, the type filter, then the field group filter. Okay. So when you were exploring the field record, you can export all the data. First of all, you can just copy it. You can Control C or a Command C in Mac, and then it'll copy the data. Or you can select one or two fields. You can right click and say copy them. If it is a long text area, you can right click and say view values. So it will actually open up the record in a big model, so you can explore it. And that's also very helpful if you have a record which is of an app log or a technical payload in mind. So you can right click and view the full payload by extracting into a separate syntax controlled view. Check out a view value help documentation and how to use that in detail. Okay, so there are multiple ways. Okay, so you can export all the data. You can right click and say export other, and then you can export all the fields as a CSV, Excel, or a G Sheet. So there is also a separate option here, export full record. So remember, this one's exports as an individual field. Okay, the field and as an individual rows. Like in this case, it can export 81 rows, one row corresponding to each of these. But you can use export other full record, so it'll export one single record with all the columns. Okay, in them. Okay, so it exports that, so you'll be able to use that if you want to. Okay, so this is about the field tab. Okay, so the field tab is always shown, that shows all the details. So the next tab that is always shown is a child record. So this shows all the child records associated with this particular parent record. Okay, so it shows all the child fields, object, and the count, and then the details. So we have separate video just to explore the child records. Go check out that particular record for more details. But keep in mind, you can display all the child records here, and then you can click on one of them and open that particular record details to explore that particular detail, particular record in detail. Okay. So once you have a record that is shown, you can edit the records. For example, here, let's say I want to change this account source, and because it's a pick list, and then you can right click and say edit. You can select a pick list value and you can update it. So note that whenever you make a change, the field is highlighted in orange, pale orange color to indicate that you have changed that particular field and not saved yet. To save a record, you can click on this button that is shown actually when you made a particular change. You can click on it, and then that will save the record. Okay, you can make multiple changes before saving. For example, let's say you want to change. Let's say I want to change this to California, and then let's change this type. Okay, so let's say you want to change this to referral. Or if it is a date, you can use that. Or if it is a number, let's say 35. Okay, so we have made these three changes, and if you click on it, and all of those changes are saved. So once the changes are there, it will show the new details. But for whatever reason, if you want to refresh, let's say you have made the changes outside of the Brobench in the UI or some other place, you can refresh here. That will show the new details of that particular record. Okay. You can save. You can save this particular record as a clone. So you can right click and say save as clone, and then you can do even when you have made the changes or even without having made any changes, you can save the clone. While editing the records, there are different other options available. For example, if it is a date and time, you have a different. So let's see if we can use a different record that has different date and times. So we have this test record. It has various types. For example, if it is when you're editing, depending on the type, you get different options. If it is a Boolean, for example, you get a true or false, or you can set a new value. But if it is a currency, you don't get any other value. Just you can nullify them. Or if it is a date field, you can set it a current date. Or you can also set to a particular date value that pops up the dialog, that you can pick a date, or you can use a relative date format. For example, let's say I want to set to -6 days. Okay, so it will set to that particular value. Okay. Similarly, the date and time, you can set them to current date and time or date and time value. So in this case, it will pop up and then it will set the value for that. Okay, so keep in mind, if it is a read-only, then you will not be able to edit that. So keep that in mind as you are exploring that. Okay. So once you are happy with the changes, you can go and click on Save Changes, and then that will save the changes. Okay. So this is about the record viewing, how to view a particular record in Brobench. How to explore various details, how to edit a particular record, and then how to save them. Okay, so go explore additional help that we have in how to configure and make use of these preview fields. So that is a fields that is shown here for a particular record automatically. Or the detail tabs. We have various tabs, that we show by default, but you can configure your own detail tabs. If you look at the help, you see that all the different tabs that are shown to the user by default, but you can create your own detail tabs to bring in additional details, even if it is via native relationship field or even maybe polymorphic field. Okay, either way, that will work. Okay, so thank you. Let us know if you have any other enhancements or the features that we can implement here. Thanks.